Hey, peace and blessings to you. My name is Jere B. I am the EntreMusician, and so are you. Welcome to another exciting episode of the EntreMusician podcast. This is the space where we concentrate on the mindset, the discipline, and focus of the EntreMusician, and today is absolutely no exception. In fact, today we are in April of 2024, April 5th to be exact. I can't believe how fast the year is flying along. We are going off the beaten path a little bit. We have been hot and heavy on some great interviews and conversations with some wonderful people who are EntreMusicians, who are doing major things in this industry. And, you know, if you haven't done so already, go back to January and just put it on the playlist and blast them, because you're going to be encouraged by all of the stories and wonderful illustrations and experiences that other EntreMusicians have walked through on their path to freedom and success, and whatever other word you want to put there that means, yo, we are doing it out here. Well, today I just wanted to, I've had this on my mind for a couple of weeks, to just sit down and talk directly to you, something I haven't done in several months, because, you know, my life seems to be taking another turn by God's grace for the better. And when those opportunities for me to share what's going on come about, I don't want to withhold them. I want to share because I consider myself to be a journeyman right along with you. I'm in the trenches with my fellow EntreMusicians. So, you know, I am not this expert, you know, and I don't teach from the viewpoint of being an expert, like, well, I have 30 years of experience and, well, I've been in the game for that long, but, you know, I'm not like, oh, and I've done this and I've done this and I can teach you how because I'm over on the other side of the mountain, so to speak. No, I'm still very much climbing the mountain. And although it sounds kind of oxymoronic, but although I have been blessed to do this and to do that and to do that, I still don't have 1 million followers, and I don't have 1 million views and 1 million listeners. And, you know, I mean, just the hyper status symbol of what it means to have made it in the music industry. But I am grateful to be participating at my level. And I am grateful to be walking alongside some incredible musicians, EntreMusicians, entertainers, artists, poets, rappers who are doing what they love to do and really are forging ahead in their industry. So I'm taking what they're doing and I'm growing from it, and I'm sharing what I'm learning with you and with others in the EntreMusician community. And I'm watching as in my rearview mirror, there are accomplishments, and that gets me excited. And so, you know, I am sitting here today just to say, you know what? I want to encourage you, and I want to encourage you with 3 things. I was thinking about this the last couple of weeks. I'm thinking about 3 real key decisions that I have made that I could share with you to help you live out your dreams. It's not complicated. Really, as I share them with you, you're going to say, dude, you're oversimplifying it, et cetera, et cetera. But that's not the case. I can assure you. They are 3 catalytic moments that have really changed the game for me as an EntreMusician, as a songwriter, as a music producer, as a TV show producer and host, as an author, in living the life that I believe my God put me on this earth to live out, to carry out. You know, I said my God, but actually God, you know, but I believe it. And I'm just now at this age, I just turned 59 in February, and at this age, I am walking into that life that I always knew that I could live. And it took 3 things. And so these things I'm going to share with you, okay? And really, if you're driving and you're listening to this, make a deeper mental note. If you happen to be in a place where you can write this down, it's really three things that you know. Now, here's the other thing, because I said you're going to perhaps think, well, Jerry, you're oversimplifying it. But no, they're catalytic. So you have to write them down and adopt them for yourself, because when you do that, then you're going to see a world of difference change. Now, here's the first one. You ready for it? I wish I had a drum roll. The first step in living the life, well, let me back up, okay? I'm glad I didn't have the drum roll. Because, just to give you some background as to what got me here, I think that context is important. Then I'll give you the first one. I'm trying to be concise, but I want to be thorough. You may not know that, as a matter of fact, today is April the 5th. On April the 8th, which is coming up on Monday, so this podcast comes out on Sunday, early Monday morning. So I will be celebrating 29 years of a wonderful marriage with Lori Lynette Beulah, my honey, my sweetheart, my baby. I love her so much, and I'm falling in love. And I used to hear older couples talk about this all the time. They would say, I'm more in love with my wife than when we were dating or when I first married. I didn't know that was, because, man, I fell for her hard, like a brick. Fell for her hard, okay? And so now, though, through the challenges, through ups and downs that marriage brings about, through disappointment, our boy Frankie Beverly says, joy and pain, sunshine and rain. I mean, we've walked through it all, but we've walked through it together, and it's made us stronger. It's made us tighter, closer, far more in love, far more valuable and respectful of each other's needs and wants and values and principles, and all of those things truly you become one. And there's nothing more than I like better than early in the morning, my wife and I having coffee together, conversation, prayer time, talking about our day. On Tuesdays, we have what we call BBBB. Okay, it's the Blessed Beulah Business Blueprint. Say that 4 times fast. Okay, and we have a business meeting on Tuesday morning, and we talk about where we are, where we want to be with respect to our businesses. So again, this is a marriage that is growing and thriving, and I'm grateful for it. So why am I giving you this context? I'm giving you this context because with respect to just a couple of years ago, now, I've always worked a day job while I was trying to be an EntreMusician. It's kind of hard to do. I understand it, but you do it. And there's millions of you that do it. And the few of you who are listening now do it, perhaps. It's rare to find an EntreMusician who is doing this full time. And it's okay. All right, which is why I want to give you these 3 steps, and I'm getting to them, I promise you. But with respect to my life and marrying Lori, there was a time, let's go back, we got married in 95. So in 2002, 2003, I thought that we were at a place, and our babies, we have 3 daughters, our 2 youngest daughters were still small, during that time. Ayana, my youngest, who is now 23, was 2 years old, if my math is correct. Anyway, I thought it was time to leave, and that I had enough clout, enough equity in my own worth, okay, at that time to leave my day job, which I did, and it was a financial hurdle for us. And I found that after about a year and 3 months or so, had to go back into the workforce. Now, this again is where I really love Lori, because we were not on one accord with that. She thought that this was not the right time to do it, but I did. So I did it. It wasn't good for us. I got back in the workforce, And by God's grace, he began to lift us up and to lift our finances back to where we needed, where we could really raise our children and begin going again. Okay, so now fast forward to about 2 years ago in 2002, I knew, and Lori knew this time, that because our girls were grown and out of the house and it was just us as empty nesters, that it was time to do it again. So the issue of time is very important with respect to what I'm about to tell you, okay? Because I'm not going to pretend like, oh, it's some beautiful fantasy and you can just jump off the cliff into the unknown. I get it. We're talking about real life. Okay, so I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I'm trying to give you 3 distinct catalytic points, I'll use that word again, that will help you to live the life that you are meant to live, living your dreams, for lack of a better description. Okay, so I had been in ministry, and, the money, by God's grace, because of the type of church and the type of structure that it had, some people may call it a mega church type of structure, and my responsibilities, my seniority there, and the work that I was doing on behalf of the church made it a nice, livable income. Really grateful for it. Again, really grateful for the lives we were able to touch while there. But growing up in here is that musicianship. And the older that I get, I don't want to be sitting in a rocking chair one day going, I could have done this. I could have accomplished that. I could have risen to this level, which I knew by God's grace, those talents, that desire was in me, and it has been in me all my life. So now is the time to do it. And again, so I'm knocking up against a lot of different voices, those of the fellow employees, ministers, pastors that I was involved with. Man, you're about to turn 58 years old. Is this something that you really want to do? Why don't you, quote unquote, wait till retirement? Okay, so there's that issue of time, right? Because you can collect this and get that and whatever, right? But with my wife and I, we knew this was the time to step away. This was the time to make it happen. Okay? And so this really becomes the very first point that I want to share, is that when you make the decision to do it, and again, remember, I said back in 2002, I had made the decision, but it was the wrong timing. But when you know that this is it, that you should not go any further, you should not procrastinate any longer, and you make the decision to do it, that's the first step. Things do fall in place. Now, Lori and I begin to listen to all kinds of different thought leaders. Michael Hyatt was one of them, and names escape me, Tony Robbins, but we began listening to this guy named Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor is deceased now, and he was still alive then. I think he was well into his 80s when he passed away. But he made a statement that my wife and I kind of looked at each other, and we adopted as our own, because he said, all you have to do is make the decision. You make the decision. You don't need any money to make the decision. Now, that was huge. That was huge for us, because he's right. He was right. The quote still is absolutely right. In order to make a decision about what you're going to do in your life, and you could, this definitely extends outside of the realm of being an EntreMusician. Whatever you put your mind to, your mind accepts. And you don't need money, because we like to complicate it, right? We like to say, well, I don't have this, I don't have that, I need resources for that. Well, listen, all you need to do, first and foremost, is make the decision that I'm going to do it. And once you've made that decision, boom, it's over. It really is. It becomes alive. It stands up. Now, my wife, she experienced this about 7 years ago. She had began talking maybe about 15, 13 years ago or so, she would say, I think I want to get into real estate. But she didn't make the decision. It was just, germinating, I guess, in her heart for it. But when we bought the house that we currently live in now, our second home, and we purchased this house 12 years ago, she was telling the realtor who was showing us the house, her name is Marissa, and she was saying, I think that I would really like to get into real estate. And so we didn't know if Marissa is her name. We didn't know if she was joking or not, but she said, I can see that in you, honey. I can see that you have a knack for this. Now, this was after just visiting a couple homes. We didn't know her personally, so, it could have been, we thought, just the marketing thing. But to her word, this is what Marissa said. Marissa said, honey, if you go and get your license, she said, I'll give you a job. Just like that, okay? So Lori decided, all right, I'm going to become a realtor. Again, we didn't have any money for it. She began to go online and look at different classes and found that there was an actual class that you had to take. And, you get certified, get the testing and all of that before your licensure, if I'm saying that properly. So when she was telling another friend, and I won't mention her name because she'll kill us if we do, but she was mentioning to another friend that she had decided to become a realtor and that she was looking up the cost of the different classes that they offered in our area. And so this friend said, you know what? I know that you can do it. I believe in you, and I'm going to write you a check for the class. I'll pay for the class. Boom. Lori still had to get up, and she had to get up in the morning and drive, and she had to study, and she had to apply herself, obviously, accordingly. But once she made the decision, then a way, and we said God made the way for her to not only go to the classes, but pass the test, get her license. And guess what happens? She called Marissa on the day that she got her license. No joke. The day that she got her license, Marissa said, hey, let me meet with you at 3 o'clock. I got some appointments. Come into my office at 3 o'clock. When she came back home, she had a broker who was covering her, and she had office space in the building just like that on the day that she received her license. What I'm saying to you is just to make the decision. And very interestingly, the same thing happened to me. Not the same way, but the same thing in the sense that January of 2023, my first day, because I left my day job at the church on the 31st. That was my last day of employment there. In January of 2023, I have a friend. His name is Dan. Dan owns the building, okay? Dan says, hey, I want you to come and look at this building. Now, Dan is a sound engineer, but he's part-time. He's more of a teacher, and he does other things as a businessman, but he has this recording studio. And when I got there, he said, I want you to look around. I know that you have made this decision, okay? And I want you to know that this building is yours. Is yours. It's yours to do with what you want, because I want the sessions that you have to be big. And although I have a home recording studio, very modest home recording studio, but it does exactly what I need to do. In fact, I am filming this broadcast from that studio. I have an audio side and I have a video side with the camera and the lights and the green screen and everything. Thankful for it. But Dan says, look, I know you're going to be doing some larger sessions, so here you go. 2 weeks later, he tells me to come back over, and I'm really overjoyed, very grateful for that. He comes back, he calls me back over, and he's been using Apple equipment, but I'm very much a PC person, and I had Sweetwater. Shout out to Sweetwater. They built my Creation Station computer for what I'm using because I needed it to be powerful enough for audio and video production. So, long story short, I go back over to Dan's, okay, to the studio. And he has this equipment from Sweetwater, which includes a Creation Station, which is now installed with the same software that I'm using here. Now, I'm not kidding you. I didn't ask for any of this. I don't think that I'm worthy of any of it. I haven't done anything or even been in a relationship with Dan for that to happen, I thought. But he just said, I just want to bless you. I just want to bless you. I believe in you. I believe in your dreams. So what am I saying? Am I saying, okay, that these things are going to happen to you once you make the decision? Maybe, maybe not, but here's a big stick that I want to put in the mud and say it definitely might, because once you make a decision about anything, it seems that circumstances and situations begin to agree with the decision that you made. Now, you may know right now, if you've been listening to this podcast for any number of weeks or months, that I'm a man of faith, that I am a Christ follower, and I believe that God partnered with us to make the decision. So you might say, well, what about back in 2002? Well, God doesn't allow us to be stupid. And I would have, if I would have continued down that road without jumping back into the workforce, that would have been a stupid decision for me. So yeah, he helps those who have enough sense to try to help themselves. But without faith, the word says, and I'm not preaching at you, but without faith in Hebrews 11, it's impossible to please him. You have to step out. You have to make this decision. You have to be the one that goes, boom, which leads to our second step. Again, not trying to preach at you, but it's absolutely important for you to know. So you've made the decision. The second thing is to have faith that the decision that you made is going to work out for you. Okay? You have to believe. All right? I talk about this in the book, The Path of the EntreMusician. 9 keys to unlock your mindset, discipline, and focus. Quick plug. Available on Amazon, available on Audible as an audiobook. But the second key is to believe, and the fourth key is to trust, because you have to believe. And the etymology of believing is living in. You have to be living in what you say. Okay? And there's 2 people, really more when we get into key 4 on trust, but just in the key of believing in God, and secondly, believing in yourself. Okay? Believing that God will do what he said he would do, and then believing in your ability to make it happen. Now I'm not preaching, but I gotta say there are 2 scriptures that really help to anchor me once we've made the decision, and then to go out and pursue it. Again, these great things happen for my wife. This great thing has now happened with me. Not only do I have the studio here at home, but I have another facility that I can work out and begin to build a clientele and begin to build larger productions. Okay? So I believe that God opened that up for me, but also it has to come by my sweat equity as well, and your sweat equity. Okay? But there are 2 scriptures. The first one is Psalm 37:4, which says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart." Now, God, as I know him, is not some slot machine in Vegas where you just put in a prayer, pull the lever, and bing, all of these blessings and all of this stuff comes down. And I know some people, some preachers may teach this or preach this, but that is absolutely not the God of the Bible. So I'm not here to enter into a theological debate one way or the other, but I have found that because I delight myself in him, because I talk with him, because he talks with me, because I'm in his word, because we're in relationship through the death, burial, and resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ, that I I aspire to be in a relationship with him continually every day, that his desires for me and his purpose for me becomes my delight. And it becomes that which I want to do and want to accomplish. So really, that's what I'm saying. Delight yourself in the Lord. He will give you the desires of your heart. Whoa, this just turned into a Bible study. I know you're saying that, but it's not. But I have to give you another scripture because I want you to know that I am living my dream. That's the whole point. I'm here on purpose, and I'm doing what I'm called to do. I'm doing what I love to do. I'm seeing fruit come from my labor. I'm seeing that when I've sowed appropriately, I am harvesting appropriately as well. And I would love for nothing more than you to experience the same. Too many frustrated musicians out there. Too many who can't see beyond their hand as to what the next step is. And so my heart for you is to sit down and to just share. Hey, yo, this is what has been happening. This is what's going on. This is why I believe the way I do. Okay? So the second verse is from Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, which says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and don't lean on your own understanding. In all of your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct thy path. Wow! Okay? So, yes, you need a business plan. Yes, you need a blueprint. Yes, you need to know what you need to know about business, marketing, financing. Yes, those things absolutely come into play, but you cannot and should not be so rigid where you're just trusting in yourself that you know everything, that you don't need anybody, that you certainly don't need God, and you can do it yourself. That is that's the freeway to destruction, as I understand life. Okay? So trust in him. Don't lean so much on, yeah, I got it, I know it, boom, boom, boom. God, here's an opportunity. What would you have me to do? And let him navigate, because he will show you the way. Okay, so those are two things. Make the decision and have faith. Believe that the decision that you've made, that you know, you're prayed up and you're just like, okay, I have the faith to make this happen. Then you take the third step. The third step is something that many musicians won't really grasp. They grasp the surface stuff, but to really look for the opportunities everywhere is something that I have seen musicians kind of drop the ball on. We rehearse, we practice our instrument. Some even shed to the level of, yeah, man, I practice 4 or 5 hours a day. That's beautiful. Yes, you get a gig, whether it's at a jam session or maybe you have a band together and maybe you play regularly. But the opportunities to advance what you do and advance why you're here, we kind of stop short. We kind of like the comfort zone. We don't like to step outside of our skin. We don't want to take the risk. When there are opportunities to expand your craft, your career, they're everywhere. And that really leans into the abundance mindset. Okay? Again, here in this book that I'm plugging at you a little bit, I must admit, because I want you to get the book and check it out. But the 9 keys to unlock your mindset, discipline, and focus. And that's what we teach here at the EntreMusician, unlocking your mindset, discipline, and focus. And we talk about the 4 mindsets, but you're going to have to go and listen to that because I started out trying to be very concise. And I don't want to get into too many weeds, but one of the mindsets, obviously, is the abundance mindset. And the abundance mindset says there are no limits. Okay? The abundance mindset doesn't look like everybody gets a piece of pie and that person has my piece of pie, or that person has a bigger pie than a bigger slice of pie than I do. Well, with the abundance mindset, there's no pie. There's no such thing as a pie. Okay, there's what I've been given to do, and I'm not in competition with anybody else. Okay, I'm not comparing myself to anybody else. This is what I've been given, and this is what I'm going to do with what I've been given, and I believe that I can grow as a result of that. So I look for opportunities. I look for opportunities in my own backyard. There are many people who would say, well, we need to relocate and move to Nashville, or we need to move to California, or move to Boston, or Seattle, or Austin, Texas, or wherever music is happening. Well, yeah, there may be more opportunities there by virtue of them being nerve centers for the music industry. But in this day and age, if you do your homework correctly, you can still live comfortably in your social economic condition, unless that needs an upgrade, and then you upgrade accordingly. But what I'm saying is, from Youngstown, Ohio, I can do the business that I need to do. And I'm looking for opportunities, and I have seen them happen and blossom right here in my own backyard. Okay, I'll give you an example. Maybe I'll give you two, but I'm going to give you one. Okay, last year, I discovered that there was something that was called the Youngstown Film Festival. Maybe I'll give you three examples, okay? But let's talk about the Film Fest, because I didn't know that there was any such thing. This was last year, October, I think, September, October, was the second annual Youngstown Film Fest. The gentleman that put it on, his name is Adam Michael. Again, I didn't know about it, but I registered for it because here's what I was doing. I was trying to increase my knowledge and trying to really enter into the world of writing for sync. I had signed to 5 libraries, which I'm currently still signed to. And I said, well, it would be really interesting to see what's going on and meet other directors, other screenwriters, and actors even, and just find out what that world is so I can better myself. Right? Okay, so went to the film festival. It was a 2-day event, thoroughly enjoyed it. For the most part, I saw that there were pictures, films, commercials being filmed in my own backyard. And I do mean literally my own backyard. We stay very close to, if you live in Youngstown or know anything about Youngstown, Ohio, we live right outside of Mill Creek Park. So many films being filmed in various parts of Mill Creek Park and in other areas, outlying areas from where Youngstown is, some even directly in the city, downtown Youngstown, et cetera, et cetera. And I had no idea because my attention wasn't on that. But when I began to look for the opportunities, attended the Film Fest, being able to begin, yeah, being able to meet these directors and others who are involved, editors and camera people who own drones and whatnot. It just increased my networking. Then found out that a good friend of mine who used to be a music producer turned film director, James Ford, began having what's called the Mahoning Valley Roundtable, where all of these directors and those working in films locally get together once a month to dialogue, to share resources, and to share information. Now, that's right in line with the EntreMusician, so I got involved in that, began creating a dialogue, and it's like, wow, I'm able, as a songwriter, as a music producer, to network with and begin to collaborate with directors in real time. In addition to that, by God's grace, we have a TV show with Armstrong Media that we've been producing. We're into our second season now. You may have heard about it. It's called Artist Impact. And so with Artist Impact, I sit down maybe 6 months, 8 months or so with Greg Roton, who is the program director there at Armstrong. And I said, man, I have a great idea for another TV show to expand the Artist Impact brand. Let's hear it. Well, I've been meeting with these different filmmakers who are making movies and commercials and all of these things right here in our area. Why don't we begin a TV show called Director's Chair? And so now we'll be interviewing these independent filmmakers. They don't have to be here in the Youngstown area, but of course, let's start where we are. Love the idea. Let's go for it. And so now, now this director's chair has been born. We've been in production. We filmed our first episode featuring James Ford and Melanie Clark Pinella, who's another incredible filmmaker from right here in our area, and it's only going to grow because I'm getting calls and texts from other filmmakers who want to be a part of what's going on to talk, because most directors are behind the scenes, but to come to the forefront, excuse me, and talk about their vision, excuse me, to talk about their vision and their art. So opportunities absolutely abound. Now, I was going to give you 3 examples. So I'm going to have to step back about 20 years when I was still in my day job, but we were growing our band Sound Doctrine and we were traveling absolutely everywhere. We're traveling everywhere, and you know about this. I've written about this, and I've blogged about this before. So I'm talking about opportunities now. So here in our home area of Youngstown, this was from 2009 to like 2014 or so. I may have my dates off because I'm an old man, but it was at least 6 years where I was involved with the Youngstown Jazz Fest. The reason I was involved with the Youngstown Jazz Fest is because I was trying to get gigs for the band Sound Doctrine, right? Well, if there ain't no beauty, you got to make some beauty. Okay, so what I began doing was partnering with the city of Youngstown to bring the Jazz Fest in, and that's a guaranteed booking for Sound Doctrine. Guaranteed. And as my stature in the Youngstown Jazz Fest began to grow to where I was the main producer, production coordinator, putting everything on, hiring the headliners and whatnot, by God's grace, I was able to position Sound Doctrine to be the opening act right before the headliner. Now, you have to see that opportunities absolutely abound, okay? So that's one thing. And then when we traveled abroad, especially when we started doing the DMV, Delaware, Virginia, Baltimore, Maryland, as they call it, DMV, when we started to do those areas, I'm just getting introduced to the promoters and the venues that we were playing at. What we began doing was partnering with the local charities there. So our show would benefit a percentage of our CD sales, a percentage of the door, or whatever the fee was that we were being paid. We would partner with those agencies, those organizations, those charities to help draw a greater crowd, okay? And then give a percentage, donate a percentage to them as well. Give them a platform to speak. All of those things, because there were opportunities that absolutely help. So opportunities abound. We as EntreMusicians just have to look for them. We have to look for them. Okay. I could go on, I guess, but I wanted to just encourage you that there are 3 ways that you can begin now to increase the opportunities in your life, to live the dream that you're supposed to live. Listen. I've been there. I've been frustrated, right? I've been at the place where I know there's more inside of me. I know there's more music that I can share. I know that there's more that I can do. This is why I was born. This is why I was put here. I know you feel that way sometimes. And I just want to encourage you with these 3 things. First, make the decision. Absolutely make the decision. Secondly, have faith. Oversimplifying. No, I'm not. Because faith without works is dead. Just wrote a song with the dynamic Lisa McDavid. We just recorded it yesterday, Thursday. Again, today is Friday. April 5th. Was just in the studio with her yesterday. And the first line of the song is called Sister Soul Sister, by the way, okay? And we have some plans for it. We are committing it to the first plan first. If that doesn't work, we have a plan B. I won't get into the weeds on that one. But anyway, the song is funky, okay? And the first line of the song is, dreams don't work unless you do. Okay, that's where faith comes in. You can have a dream, but it won't work unless you work the dream. You have to be involved, actively engaged, sleeves rolled up, sweat on your brow, making it happen. So I'm not oversimplifying it. Make the decision, have faith, and believe that it will happen. And then thirdly, look for opportunities, because opportunities are everywhere. In fact, I'm beginning to write my second book, and I already have a title for it. I'm already kind of getting into the outline of what it's going to be, but it's going to be a bunch of questions. Well, the first question and the title of the book, I'll tell you this and I'll let you go. Okay, the title of the book is called, What About Popcorn? Strange title, I know. What About Popcorn? I don't have a subtitle for it, but I don't know if it's going to be 10 questions or 20 questions that I'm going to ask that really help you hone in on opportunities, creating opportunities. And I mentioned my little girl, my youngest daughter, who's now 23. Her name is Ayana. She had to be 2, maybe bordering 3 at the time. She's a short in stature. So she was really short. And here's the scenario. 2 years old, maybe 3 years old. And I'm noticing as we are into a Saturday morning, everybody has on their pajamas, and it's a lazy Saturday, one of those fall days. And I noticed we're in there. We used to watch, there was a cartoon called Veggie Tales. We used to watch that with the kids all the time, with our daughters. And so we're just kind of lounging around, but I'm noticing Ayana is going back and forth to the kitchen. Every time she goes back or comes back into the family room, she has a cookie, or, she has pretzels, or she has something like she's, Mom, Lori, she has not yet cooked lunch. So we would always tell the girls, no snacks. But it's Saturday and you're not really, paying attention. Everybody's chilling. But Ayana has a Pop-Tart now, or she has something. She's into something. So I had a stern talk with her. I remember standing by the refrigerator and I'm looking at her and said, okay, listen, Ayana, I don't want you coming in here for anything else. I don't want you, no more potato chips, no more Pop-Tarts. I don't want you to have any pretzels, no more cookies, no ice cream. I'm just running down this list of things. And she's looking up at me, and she's listening and she's, just taking it in. And then when I stopped, she said, well, what about popcorn? Because I didn't mention popcorn. It wasn't a part of my list. And I thought, this child, she's the one, right? She's the one. And I thought, man, oh man. So what I did was I opened up immediately. I took her up in my arms because I thought it was so funny. And I opened the box of microwave popcorn, stood there and popped it. And I shared the bag of popcorn with her because I'm thinking, what? So sharp to be able to listen to what she's being denied and then to ask about the one thing that I didn't mention. And I said, what a great title for a book. What about popcorn? Because, wow, we seemingly are denied so many things. But when we begin really looking into the opportunities that await us, that are waiting to be discovered, right? Wow, we could have it. We could have it. So let's go for it. Let's go for it with all of our hearts, with all of our mights. And I tell you, man, I got to tell you, I'm so grateful. I really am grateful from the bottom of my heart for the few of us that have gathered to really grow this podcast. I'm grateful for the EntreMusician team, for Daryl Looney and Linda Bolero and Robbie Cunningham and the Nads Set of Vision. We call them the Nads C. And I'm not discounting our other valuable members of the EntreMusician podcast, but these ladies and gentlemen are the ones who are helping me to really improve this podcast, and they're coming on themselves and they're sharing their lessons and they're doing interviews with other musicians and just giving of themselves. And I'm so very grateful to them, so very grateful to other members of the EntreMusician. I'm going to start calling names and forgetting people, but you know who you are. It's growing. It's an organic community. And if you've considered the fact that you may need more community, more coaching, more collaboration, come and join, be a part of the EntreMusician, because it really is. I mean, we've grown to an international base now, so we meet on Saturday mornings as well as Sunday evenings. On Saturdays is our International Day. We'll meet at 10 a.m. in the morning for us here in the United States, but it's 4, 5, 6 o'clock in Serbia, Finland, in Italy, and Sri Lanka. You know what I mean? So we take those areas under consideration as well. With respect to the U.S. side, we meet on Sundays at 6 o'clock. This is via Zoom. And then we have a private Facebook group. It is a membership community, but it's less than $1 a day. It's only $27 a month. And that works out to about 88 cents a day, just so that we can share resources, share information, share our time with each other, learning, growing, and building together. Again, huge collaboration opportunities. We have special guests who come on, industry pros, to share their heart, to share their advice, to share their experience. And we suck it in, right? We sponge it up. We grow together. And so I'm asking you, if you know that you need that in your life, come on and join us at the EntreMusician. Because I say it all the time, don't I? I say it at the beginning. I'm going to say it here at the end. My name is Jere B. I am the EntreMusician. But here's what's most important. So are you. And once you see yourself as the EntreMusician, you do what EntreMusicians do, right? That is correct. So peace and blessings to you. Thanks for letting me talk your head off. I've had fun. Hopefully you've had too. And we look forward to seeing you again next time.